got a question, Ask Tom on Home Show Radio.
This is Home Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And Danny Milliken. Let's get all three of us in here if we're going on. I'm Tom Tynan. This is Home Show Radio Live, I guess you might say, on Facebook and also on YouTube. And we're here today to answer your questions about, well, whatever questions you sent in for one thing, as well as anything you'd like to write in right now, because we are going streaming live, I guess you might say. And we're here for you. And as far as that goes, if you can't make it today, you see this later, great, but you can always listen on Sports Radio 610 Saturdays and Sundays. 9 to 7 is Danny. Okay, I'll start with me first. I'm on Saturday, 9 to 12. 7 to 9 is Danny, and I'm on Saturday from 9 to 12, and Sunday from 8 to 11. Get that all straight. And we're here with Charlie Mosier right now, who's going to pop up like the pop-up he is, without a filter. That's actually him. It's not something he came up with.
Ever
it's not
unfiltered,
a kitty
Tom,
cat.
you know.
Yeah, boy, do I know the word unfiltered. Yes, me.
I lived the whole week. I lived the whole week waiting for how you're going to introduce me. So it's always,
I have no idea either.
It's
I wait the whole week too, actually. I
need more to do.
Would you like me to write a list of 20 ways to introduce you, and you can approve it each week? That's like the college I work for. We can do it that way. Give me
We do
point
it that way. Yes. Just make sure they're sensitive to everybody.
We would like Section A, Part B this week.
Right.
Okay. And I can create a spreadsheet for it.
That's what we'll do.
All right. Well, let's not do that.
But we are here to help you with what's on your mind, which is why our special guest today is, of course, Danny Milliken from Home Show Garden Pros. He'll be joining us. Danny, wave hello.
Hello, greetings. Hello, all out there, YouTube and Facebook.
All right, that's
out
enough.
in TV land.
We'll get back to more Danny later.
Nice.
No, we really will. We'll get back to more Danny in just a minute.
Yeah, no, Danny's a great guy. Yeah,
right. He's an awesome
Smart.
guy. He is smart as a whip, and that's why he keeps company with you and wears one of these very proud. This one, one of these.
But he got green for obvious
He
reasons.
does. He's muted, so I can bring him up. He can't say anything.
Well, green is for plants.
See,
blue is for At least it's not orange like a jail suit. But
I can't stop him. All right, Danny. What?
Yes.
The logo is the big thing. We all like to see the logo. That's the
you
important
point
part.
to the logo, Danny. No.
We're all one big family, the Home Show family, here to talk Ask Tom Live. So we all get to ask Tom questions. Charlie, is that what happens here?
It is. So what question do you have for Tom, Danny?
So, what kind of car parts do you use to fix your pipes?
I use radiator hoses with 4 hose clamps, 2 on each end, and I shoot a screw with a washer through it so the hydraulic pressure doesn't pull it off in the middle of the night like it did at my house, and I flooded the neighborhood twice. Yes.
This is not a joke.
No, it's not.
No, this is just real. He found a very easy way to get his pipes working before he got them all the way fixed.
Everybody was lined up at Lowe's. I went over to AutoZone, and I said, "Can I look in the back at radiator hoses?" And the guy said, "Yeah, come on." Took my tape measure, got the right interior diameter, and said, "I'm out of here. I got plumbing to fix," and it worked.
That's great. So right now,
really did.
There are people lining up over at O'Reilly and AutoZone and.
Well, I heard that they quit doing it because it got bad, because everybody was on Facebook, not just me, but all us tinkering guys, we know that trick. Plumbers will use that trick, and they finally said, "No, we don't have any more radiator hoses." It was that bad.
That's too funny. Well, Danny is here because he's going to help us in a couple minutes answer some questions about, the thing.
Plants.
Yeah. The recent... it's like he used to talk. I remember when I was a kid and you traveled to the South and they referred to the Civil War as the recent unpleasantness. And it's one of those things. So I'm going to refer to last week as the recent unpleasantness. It's like when we were in the middle of it, we lost a pipe because when I listened to Tom Tynan on the radio, he told me to make sure that, you drain all the hoses and everything. Right? What I didn't do is say, "Sandy, is that all of them?" And so it was my fault. Yeah. But there was one around the back corner by our bedroom, and when we turned the water on, it blew a hole in the wall and blew water across the room, which was exciting. So, anyway.
But it's all fixed now because Abacus Plumbing, 713 Plumbing, they were out there immediately as quick as they could, and they fixed it for Charlie.
Well, let's say this about that. We want to be kind to plumbers. That's our motto this week. Be kind to plumbers. These guys are working crazy shifts, getting minimal sleep, trying to get everybody taken care of, and the supplies are in short supply. And so just be patient. They're getting to everybody. And I know it's easy to say when I've got running water, maybe you don't, but we really don't have a choice. So there's only so many hands and so many pipes. And Tom, I think it drives home the point about what you talk about the importance of training new plumbers.
Well, it's funny you say that because on my way home today here, and this made my day. That's why I'm off. No matter what happened today, I am smiling and sleeping well tonight. I went to CVS. I was stopped by a car while I was walking to mine in the parking lot. The gentleman rolled down his window. He said, "Hey, you're Tom from TSC, which is Texas Southmost College." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I was one of your plumbing students. I start out with a great job in plumbing on Monday." His wife next to him smiling ear to ear. And my heart just glowed because one of my students, somebody realized plumbers are needed. And that's what I do during the week, and that made me very happy.
That's right. That's awesome. All right. So, Danny, what we do here normally, and we're going to do a couple of those, and then we'll get to you with some of your questions, is that we answer questions that come to us at homeshowradio.com on the Ask Tom section at Home Show Radio. And I've got one right here for you, Tom, that comes from Deborah at Rosenberg. She says, I've been without water for about 8 days, and plumbers have tried to fix the plumbing, but when we turn on the water, new leaks keep springing up. A construction company referred me to a plumber who came out, and they fixed leaks twice, but they leave before the glue dries on the pipe, and I have to turn the water on, and then more leaks appear. Sheetrock's falling off the ceiling, she says. Is it time to repipe my home?
Well, it sounds like she's got PVC. So let's start with the type of pipe she has. A lot of people will call and ask this question or write in and ask this question about, well, galvanized, for instance, and we will direct them to TDT, and they have a Duraflow system where they can, reline the entire system. But when it comes to PVC, if all her joints are popping, that leads me to believe it probably wasn't done with the skill it needed to be done at the beginning. And now that freeze just loosened the joints because the pipes shrunk and the expansion and contraction of the pipes in opposite directions popped those glue joints, and you put them back under pressure. And she could have that for a while. So I'm not sure what kind of plumber she's calling. I know she needs to get a really experienced plumbing company that can really evaluate her issue. But this might be the case, Charlie, where replumbing or repiping with a PEX product might be in store. And that's why I always tell people it's great. A PVC pipe is wonderful for a lot of applications, but for a primary home and for freeze, it's not a good thing at all. And this can happen. So it's not a candidate for some of the other fixes. If it's that bad, it could be a replumbing issue because nobody wants to go through this over and over again. It's not just that plumber didn't let the glue dry. There's something else going on.
Yeah, I've heard from people that no one they know with PEX had a burst pipe.
PEX has a lot of types, and the Uponor products are actually freeze-proof. The memory of that material, they can freeze it. It'll expand real big. You can actually beat it with a hammer and crank it back and forth, and then let it thaw, and it goes right back to it has a memory. It goes right back to its shape. So it's very impressive. Where they have problems there is, and you still have to drain your pipes, is the joints and outside where the hoses come to the house and where the water goes underneath the cabinets to the stops for the sinks and for your washing machine and stuff. Those are copper fittings. They can still freeze. So it's still best to drain them, but the probability of having it in your wall like a lot of other people have is probably very slim compared to some of the other pipes. You are right.
Yeah, that's where I hear the connections and manifolds and all those places. That's where the PEX was failing. And I didn't know that there was copper at those connections, but that makes perfect sense. All right, let's get another one in here. This one comes, and then we're going to go to Danny. So Danny.
Good. I want to talk to Danny.
We love you, Danny. We're coming to you. Hang on.
We're
coming.
Fruit tree questions.
All right. Well, good. Timothy in Sharpstown. Have you noticed all the questions today have a certain theme to them? He says, I have and by the way, if you have a question, remember that we are here live and we're happy to help you out. All you got to do is put your questions down here in the in the comment section. They'll pop up and we can help you out while we're here too live. Let's see. So Greg says, I have a gas water heater that has not come on since the freeze, and the pilot lit, but the heater has not come on. I open up the hot water tap upstairs in the bathroom, and dark brown water comes out. Should I drain this tank?
You can try it, but that's not the reason it's not coming on. If it's a gas water heater, the burners are not igniting. So it has to do with the thermostat and the gas valve. And the little dial you have, you can turn it up and down to see if you can manually make it come back on. Maybe that's all it needs. I had to do that to mine where I turned it up and you hear a click and you hear the burners go whoosh and the burners come on. That's not the reason he has the dark water. I had dark water come out of mine. It's because of the freeze and draining the pipes, a little air getting in there. It's going to stir it up for a while. Good reason I always tell people don't drink or make coffee or anything from the side on the hot. That's for cold water. Don't get it out of your hot water tank. It's always got junk in it. But I would tell him to look more so at the gas connections, gas valve, and see if he can manually get that thing to start. It might be time for a new one if the gas valve got all crudded up and it's not working right, because then it's never going to for him.
Now, I don't know if y'all are noticing at home, But Tom's kind of like, don't worry, it's not you, it's him. No,
what do I
his
do?
It's his camera. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. We just, we got a little adjustment we have to make, because it's like chasing focus, and we'll get to it. And there you go.
What if I stay really still?
Then it wouldn't be exciting. It would lose all the thrill that is watching you.
No,
So
but
anyway.
you would lose my personality.
Okay,
I'm ready.
so let's get.
Had to turn my phone off. Okay, fine.
Thank you. I'm glad. There's nothing like being prepared. So let's go to.
I thought I did.
Yeah. I know.
I'm
This is just a rehearsal, ladies and gentlemen. When we do the real show later, none of these problems. So, anyway,
Listen,
so
if you want it perfect, get an editor, okay? It'll be edited. This is live. Carol
That's what
Burnett.
it is.
You saw Harvey Korman laugh a lot.
Oh, and
it wasn't
they used to
scripted.
crack themselves up. Yeah, no, I remember.
They were good, too.
Okay,
I
and
like
just
that.
in case, now we have a new guy working here. Have you met Zachary, the new Zachary yet, Danny? You met him?
Yeah.
Nice guy, but he was born in 2010 or something. I mean, he's like, he doesn't. I say Carol Burnett, and he's like, he doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I found myself explaining a lot of these things, and I love. Don't worry, we love Zach, but it's a nice reminder that we're getting freaking old around here. So that's why we have young people like Danny to help us. Danny, of course, is with the Grand Poobah of Oba here in Houston. Is that right, or something like that?
That is right. Official title is Grand Poobah. I guess you have my card, so that's it. And yeah, we do horticulture education, right in line with what we're doing on the show all the time, trying to get people thinking about doing it right.
Cool.
A lot of dead plants out there, Charlie.
I'm telling you. So I guess my question for you, Danny, is how. It's the obvious question. I'm sure everyone's going to ask it, so I'll just ask it first. How can we tell if what we have is dead or not? What's your advice?
My favorite thing to do in that situation is called a scratch test. We actually put a short little video with some citrus on the Home Show Garden Pros Facebook page. You're just barely scratching under the bark. Right under the bark is where the energy nutrient exchange happens in the plant. And so if you can scratch a little bit of the bark off, you can see if it's green or not. And if it's green, that's hopeful. That's not your final answer, but these scratch tests don't show a negative. So if it looks brown and dead, it's brown and dead, but if it looks green, it might make it. So that's the exciting thing. It really works really well on those like hardy shrubs, things like citrus or even oaks or pineapple guavas or whatever you've got that you need to see if it's alive or not before you cut it back.
Tom, what are you worried about?
No, I did exactly that when we uncovered all our plants, and I did the mulching, but I just tried not to get the leaves to burn too much, so I had that done too. And right afterwards, I went around with my thumbnail, and I scratched everything, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was really green and moist. So I don't know what's going to happen as far as some of my trees, but Danny, you give me hope that maybe a lot of it will some clever pruning. And my question to you is, if they do survive, is there any chance we're going to get any fruit this year, or is the fruit going to be kind of a year off now because of this?
Well, with grapefruit, probably no fruit. Those bigger oranges, larger navels, blood oranges that are a little more complicated. But some of the smaller stuff like satsumas, clementines, maybe even some lemons, definitely kumquats, you may see a late bloom and fruit. It's kind of often a way that the plant itself adjusts to a crisis. It tries to make the next generation. And so a lot of them will force fruit. And so it could be a good thing for us. First thing we want to see is those green buds kind of coming up, showing us where life is. And then you'll know really quickly after the first few buds come out if you're going to get fruit or not. It'll be right then, same time. So 3-4 weeks, we'll have our answer.
Now
So it sounds like I need to call Dr. Phil to find out what kind of mood it's in. Okay, that's good.
There's
How about my
sound. Is there
pears and
sound
apples?
quality?
Huh?
Wait, sorry, pears and apples?
Yeah, that was my other set of trees. They didn't have a lot of leaves on them, but I could scratch them and they were green. Do you think they're going to be okay?
Yeah, I think they're going to be great. My peach and my plum they were in full bloom. They were blasting with all the blooms, beautiful, covered with white in the plum and pink with the peach. But the freeze definitely knocked all those blooms and small fruits off. And so we will see again if I get any more fruit, but it's leafing out already. I mean, it's already leafing out. So that is the nice thing about those deciduous plants is they store a lot of energy in the trunk and the branches.
Now, I got one here, a question that
I'm
came
happy.
to us here.
Yes.
We got a question here that came from CJ in Oklahoma. Or I think it's CJ. He said, or maybe CJ's just okay. I don't know. But he says, my avocado trees, speaking of Dr. Phil, my avocado trees are weeping near the ground. Are they history?
Yes.
Oh no, sorry.
So with the avocados, they do not like a freeze. And generally that weeping is water that is under the bark, outside of that nutrient exchange layer that's kind of flowing down. And that should be staying in the plant and not coming out. Now, depending on the amount of weeping, that could be adjusted and changed and maybe even saved. But if it's coming down at the very, very bottom, it's a really bad sign. So sometimes you get a peg or two of what looks like kind of sappy water. But if it's weeping at the ground like that, that's not good.
So does that mean that we're going to have some issues with guacamole and stuff later this year?
Well, if you're buying all your
only in
guac directly
CJ's
from
backyard,
Oklahoma,
or buying it from CJ, we're pretty much done. Yeah.
the Oklahoma avocado industry is going to take a serious hit.
That's going to be a serious hit. Yeah, exactly right. Okay. I guess they're going to have to start using the tofu guacamole up there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, a lot of soybeans. So.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
All right. All right. So, is there the stuff that we're waiting to find out whether it's we're going to do the scratch test and all that? Is there anything that we could be doing right now that could help anything that's like hanging like on the it's kind of on the bubble whether it's going to make it or not?
With on the bubble stuff, the best thing to do is wait. Now, if a lot of the leaves singed, you really can go ahead and prune out the top 6 inches, something like that on hedges. So thinking viburnum. Now, a lot of the native plants that were used to being pollinator plants, that whole top is going to die. Lantana, salvia, even Hamelia. And so if you're someone growing those big bushy flowering plants, it's a great thing to do to just cut them all the way to the ground and mulch them really heavily. And I would do the same thing with a lot of my kind of strappier plants like agapanthus, different irises, different lilies, even some native grasses. Just cut them all the way down and let them come back from the roots. Get rid of that stuff blocking them, let the light get to the ground. All that's kind of what we're going for. But no, there's a lot to do right now. We don't have to wait on everything. Most of the natives I have already taken to the ground at my house and mulched it again.
So first steps are find the natives, take them down to the ground. Anything about the soil? I know you hear about. Is this a time to put like seaweed or something down, or
That's exactly right, Charlie.
I've been listening.
The super seaweed.
I gotta tell you, I've been listening to this guy on the radio over here at Home Show Garden Pros, and he's pretty sharp, and you bear a striking resemblance to him, Danny.
Yeah, that guy. Look at those powerful forearms in that picture there. Man,
Yeah,
I wish
Zach,
that was.
that's Zach in Photoshop. Anyway, so back to the seaweed.
So 2 things. The big thing we want to do is activate roots. And Charlie, seaweed is a great thing to do. Any like oceany, fishy, seaweedy thing is a great thing for activating roots. Another one is called Rev. Dakota Rev is kind of what we call it, but it's called Rev. And it is another just root activator, really pushing roots forward. So super seaweed for microlife is really what I'm putting out and just drenching it. So I put it in a bucket, I mix it with a lot of water, and I just pour it out. One thing you don't want to do is overwater. Having said that, we don't want to be watering and watering and watering. That will stress the plants a little bit more, and a little bit more might be the end. So I'd really hold back on water. We're getting some more rain today, so I wouldn't be watering anything.
So that rain we have coming in we should just not have it go somewhere else. Just don't water those.
See,
Water
I didn't
with
get that one. I was listening very intently too.
It's clear to me, Danny, that you don't do the show every week with me like Tom does, because you would know. Just ignore some of the shit Charlie says. Just
yeah, lucky you.
Gotcha.
Learn what everybody who watches the show has already learned, Danny. I'm just going to give you a little tutorial here, okay? So, all right. What else? Any other tips you can share with us, Danny, that would help us get ready? So trim down the natives, some seaweed to help activate. Don't water. What else?
It is a great time to get new plants in. If you've cleared some space and you're just empty space, the weather looks phenomenal going forward. I mean, I'm sowing seeds in the veggie garden. I'm planting tomatoes. I'm putting a lot of stuff in now that is go time. So the weather's looking great. It's looking like it's kind of spring. And so, if another freeze comes, then another freeze comes. But I'm moving forward. I'm filling my empty spaces with beautiful color and delicious vegetables. Mm-hmm. I will say, if you can run your mower over the lawn to chop up some of the thatch, you will help your lawn out. A lot of the green is at the very bottom. It's all the bottom half inch. And so now is a great time to knock down some weeds and cut those dead leaves off the top of your lawns. That would be a great thing to do, to get out there, just mow over the top of everything and just leave it in place. Let it be kind of fertilizer for later. Don't worry about bagging it up. But the more light you can get on those grass leaves, the faster it's going to grow.
Do we want to lower the deck at all, or just keep it at that same height that we've been doing? I mean, do we want to go a little deeper to get to dig that stuff up with the mower?
Yeah, I would say probably 2.5, 2 inches is a minimum on St. Augustine for this process. And so some people that's lowering it, some people it's not. They just mow it at that height. If you got Bermuda, you can really get it down to 1.5 inches, something like that, for this purpose. Okay. So, but we want to get rid of those dead ones.
All right. Well, cool. Well, Danny, thanks.
Danny, I got one last question before you're going to let him go. In Harvey, after it was all over, getting plants from the nurseries. Well, there you go. Getting plants from the nurseries became a chore. I mean, everything was sold out. Do you expect that's going to happen this season? Should people get in and buy early? By May, they were out of plants after Harvey. I do believe it was Harvey that was the time, but I've seen that happen. What do you think this year?
Tom, I've talked to a lot of nursery growers, people knew this was coming. That industry, they knew it was going to come, and a lot of them were able to protect a lot of plants. And so it's not going to be like Harvey that was a really surprise and really wiped out a lot of anywhere, within 100 miles of the coast was pretty much destroyed nursery-wise. And so a lot of the tropicals, subtropicals took a real hit. I don't foresee it being quite as severe as that. I will say, shop local and be flexible, and you won't have any plant problems. Maybe don't do the exact thing you do every year. I've got to get the white caladiums in or whatever. Mm-hmm. Shop local, shop flexible, and you will be satisfied with the plants that are out there.
That's a great point. You could see the freeze coming. We were warned about it. Whereas these other things we weren't expecting such a catastrophe. So, and it hits everybody. Nobody could prepare. I never thought of it that way when it comes to plants. So that's interesting. I'm glad to know. I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah, the tough thing was the loss of power, right? I mean, that was what was so surprising, is that everybody made their plans, but then the power was lost and everybody lost the heat that they were going to rely on to protect pipes or plants. So kind of the same situation on both fronts.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Always fun to see you guys.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna add one thing to what you said, Danny, about buying local. I can think of 6 places where we'd recommend you go shop local. Any of the Home Show Garden Pros, they're the ones who, all kidding aside, I mean, these are the local businesses that are really invested in helping make your home look great, and they've got the know-how to make sure you buy the right things. When you go to the tent people, you don't know what you're going to get or where it came from, and these guys are careful about what they buy and what they put in the store, whether it's the Kingwood Garden Center, Enchanted, Plants for All Seasons, Warren's, Nelson's, all of them are there to help you out. And of course, our Home Show Pro, RCW, up there at 249. Now, I know he's having a challenge getting stuff in, but he's working hard to get it in, as they all are. And so the key, I think, in all of this is, let's remember to take care of the people who are going to be there to take care of us, and always buy local and buy from people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's wild what we've learned about kind of frontline workers. And you mentioned plumbers earlier. Easy to take for granted, these growers and these plant salespeople. So that's a great word, Charlie. Those companies that Charlie pointed out are phenomenal places that are focused on supporting a local economy. I'd encourage you to do the same.
You bet. All right.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Danny, thank you. Thank you for coming, buddy. It's great having you.
Thanks, Danny.
Well, okay. So there we are. Now it's you and me again, buddy.
Okay.
Kind of miss him kind of in between us there. It's like,
I like Danny. I learned so much. I just listened, and I've got like 10 things I have to do now, and I feel confident that it's going to help tremendously. So
that's why I never listened to that show. I have enough to do, you know. Actually, since we started producing that show, I want to tell you something. Sandy, my wife, has become the most amazing gardener. I mean, this is somebody who, like me, always used to do her gardening with a fountain pen and a checkbook, you know, but she's learned how to do a lot of this and is really, and needless to say, you know, it was much gnashing of teeth and tearing of garments on Monday and Tuesday, looking out at the backyard.
Yeah.
So, but then I told her, I said, "Hey, look at the bright side. You get to go buy more." And
I was going to say, she's still got the checkbook in the pen. She's just planting it herself now.
Yeah, but I took out the ink.
It still cost.
I took the ink out. So
That's good.
Right. Hey, let's
I
get
was wondering what that blue stain on your lips was.
That's exactly right. All right, let's get back. Let's back to some questions here. All right, Greg in Copperfield has one for us. Tom, he says, "I have a 2-story and had a few pipes burst. I'm waiting on a plumber, but until the plumber shows up, the hot water heater is in the attic, and I have the valve shut off there. I also have the water off at the house and the outside faucets open. I noticed when flushing the toilets, water is coming out of one of the faucets. Talk him off the ledge here. Has he got something to worry about?"
When he flushes the toilet, water comes out of the faucet?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. That just makes no sense at all. But what I would tell him this, if there's a particular faucet that's giving him this problem, okay, that's the way it is. I would go underneath that cabinet and I would close what we call the stops. The stops are the little valves right underneath the cabinet that shut the water off to the faucet. And just do that. Now, if he's talking about the drain line and it's backing up from the toilet, that's a whole different story. But that doesn't sound like that's what his question is. So if there's some kind of water pressure differential, because he says he has the water off, so if he's flushing the toilet, he's either turning the water on or he's dumping a bucket of water in there like we all know how to do here in the Houston area during survival time. And if that's the case and it's coming up the drain line, then he's got a drain issue. That's totally different.
So be something either way that, you know, he's
I want to get that plumber to his house as soon as possible. I hope he's on his way soon.
Yeah, no kidding. Well,
tell everything.
Like we said, it's Be Kind to Plumbers Week. Actually, I think it's Be Kind to Plumbers Month. But, you know, because we have people who are waiting days and weeks for, well, not weeks yet, but I mean, it's going to be weeks before some people get some service. And people are doing the best they can, and your patience is great. Even Alan at Abacus was talking to us about this, and he said that, you know, we'd love to take care of everyone, but the fact is that right now we can't. And that, you know, if you need to call somebody else, do it. Just get yourself taken care of. And that's really the watchword for getting through this right now. I will tell you.
And I want a lot of people to know that when a leak is fixed and they turn the water back on, expect more. That's how they check it, is they turn it on, then they turn it off, fix another one, turn it on, turn it off, until they're all done. Just in my dad's case, in his place that I'm taking care of right now, we had 3 leaks, and it took them quite a while to find a process to do that. It's in the Dallas area. They had a harder freeze. I wasn't there to take care of it. But as far as that goes, expect more than one if you have one, and you won't know until you get one fixed and the next to the next.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what Randy told me from Abacus when he came to fix mine, because he came out Wednesday because ours happened real early, and I called, and I don't know, we just got to the head of the line quick. They just, he came, and all my neighbors were like, "How'd you do that?" Anyway, I picked up the phone and said, "Help me."
Hey,
and here he was.
None of their business. Yes.
Yeah, of course, I was like, "Here you go, help me out."
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that. I did that before he left, though. But but you know what he told me? He said the way to tell if you have a leak when you turn the water back on. I never thought of this. He says, make sure all the faucets are off and turn the water on. He says, go out to the meter and look at the little ball on there and see if it's turning. Because if it's turning and you've got everything turned off, you may have a leak. He says there's a strong chance you have a leak. That's what he told me.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you can do that if it's not something to do with this. Mm-hmm. If your water bill starts going higher and you're saying, "Hey, I don't have anything on," that's exactly what you do. Make sure everything is off, even the ice maker, everything. Nothing's running off and on a little bit. Look at the meter, come back 15 minutes later and see if it's registered more usage. If it does, something's going on.
Something's
It could be the meter. No, I'm serious. It could be
yeah.
not even their fault. It could be the
yeah.
meter, and it's the people supplying it have to come and replace the meter. But that's how you look, is you see the valves. You look at the dial.
I'll tell you what I saw during this freeze that kind of surprised me, Tom. I saw a lot of people were putting bags of mulch out on top of the meter box for their water. What purpose does that serve?
I don't think it does a lot. Anything underground in Houston, as cold as it gets, and I know everybody's cold, it stays fairly warm under there. We have a constant temperature. Even if you're just 6 inches underground, it's the best insulator in the world. I don't know of anybody's water meters that freeze. I've never heard of it. They're pretty well protected and built well. But if it makes them feel more comfortable and they just take a rake and throw the mulch and the grass around the meter box, I'm good with it if it makes them feel better, but I don't think it did a lot of good.
Okay.
But, a lot of people do things, and I don't have a problem with it, to make them feel more comfortable when they go to bed at night with something like this. So if it's something their dad taught them or somebody came up with the idea and they feel, I'm good with that. That's fine.
Yeah, I have something I do when I go to bed at night to feel good too.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
What? I brush my teeth, have a glass of water, and that always makes me feel better. What are you thinking? Get your mind out of it.
I don't know.
Okay.
What is anybody thinking who just heard you say that?
A
whole bunch of things.
That's between them and their priest, okay? Not me.
Yes.
All right? I'm not going
Me
there.
too.
All right. Frank in the Heights writes to us, like everyone else, I have plumbing pipe leaks and need ideas for materials I can use to mitigate the situation until a plumber comes out. I've galvanized pipe. Is there some kind of tape I can use to wrap, or a clamp or something I can cover the leak in the short term, Tom?
There's what they call Fernco fittings, which is a company, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. They're actually rubber sleeves that go on and have hose clamps on there, and you can clamp it down and fix it. You can cut a piece out like I did and just use a hose or some of the hoses you can buy from plumbing departments if they have any, and just use hose clamps. So you can isolate sections. You can cut the leaks right out and just put one of these fittings in there, and they have them for the drain lines too. But the problem is how do you get your hands on them? Like I mentioned earlier, went to the auto parts store and got a radiator hose for who knows what car. I just was looking for the right interior diameter. It was 1 1/8 I was looking for. And so I found that, and it bent right into shape. But that's what you can do, is you can isolate the leak, cut it out, and connect it with one of those fittings that are made for that. Or you can actually use radiator hose and hose clamps. It will work. I know.
Yeah, we talk about waiting, getting a good qualified professional out. And when I watch Randy from Abacus working on my burst pipe,
yeah,
I saw why you want a professional out there doing it.
Yeah, for permanent fixes, yeah.
Well, because I watched, the guy comes out, obviously, the first thing he does, cuts he didn't just cut a hole to get at it. He cut it nice and square so that, the sheetrock is going to patch in there real nice, which was a nice touch. But he also went and sprayed the fire retardant around it before he started soldering. And he had a fire extinguisher right there at his feet. And so, because you can burn a house down real quick with this stuff.
Yes.
So.
And you have copper. That's good. I have copper too. That's one of the premier pipes until the PEX came along. So that's a good thing. Easy to fix. It's easy to cut out and easy to solder a little sleeve in there.
I have new copper now. I have new copper. About this much. So
no, it's very shiny, I'm sure.
It's shiny.
I hope he insulated it before you put it back together.
Sandy, you said you like shiny things. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you go. Last question we have for you today. My sheetrock, this is from Vitena in Humboldt. She says, my sheetrock was damaged in my garage from a pipe that burst during the freeze. Do you recommend that I insulate my garage before my sheetrock is replaced? It's attached to the house. There's no heating or air conditioning in it. And who would you recommend to do that kind of repair, Tom?
The only wall, first off, the only wall I would insulate in an attached garage would be the wall that is the same wall as that's in the house. You have that wall that separates both. The rest of the garage, it doesn't make any sense to insulate. It's not going to do any good. So no, I would not do that. But if it's a common wall, it needs to be insulated with the house, and that can be done by whoever does the patching. It's very simple to do. Rudy's Quality Painting, of course, is a great company to call for, and he's going to be really busy for a while. There's lots of patching and sheetrock work and all that stuff that's going to be done, and A lot of that's covered with your homeowner's insurance. Please, if you have this damage, please call your homeowner's insurance and your adjusters if you have insurance. A lot of that's what the insurance is for, is to cover these costs. But they can put the insulation in, but don't insulate the rest of the garage, just the wall that is common with the house.
So, in other words, an air-conditioned space, just that's space.
Right.
Leave everything else
Yes.
to breathe. Okay.
That's right. It's just not going to do any good. Insulation does not make things warm. It just holds heat if there is any. But if it's cold in the garage and it's cold outside, it's still cold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your insulation will be cold too. It's not a heating element. It's just something to separate the two temperatures, the super cold and where you have a heated space, so you don't overuse your heat.
It's like the McDLT. No, we talked about that. You don't remember that. Keep the hot side hot, the cold
Packaging.
side cold.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All right.
I actually remember it now.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as you try to get things like that out of your head, it's like trying to get the smell of French fries out of your car after you've had them. So
I know, but see, even the reason that didn't work is that one bun was hot and one bun was cold.
yeah, I never thought of that. It's good.
I did. That's why it didn't work. I remember the story of it now.
Well, Jason
came and
Alexander, the guy who played George Costanza, he blames himself for the failure of that because he did the commercial for it, and he blames himself. So.
Well, maybe.
All right. So let's time to land the plane. Let me cover a couple things. If you want to get a question on our program, by the way, I'm aware that you may have put some questions in that we didn't get. We're having a little challenge here, and I've been trying to fix it during the show, and I'm going to have to go to the eCam people and figure out why we're not getting the comments to come up in here like they should be. And we'll get to the bottom of it, and I appreciate your patience as we work through these things. But if you want to get your questions, the quickest way to get your questions on here or in our daily AskTom videos, or of course, or our early edition, which is just, it's a broadcast tradition at my house. You go here to Home Show Radio, you click on that blue button right there. It says Ask Tom. It'll take you to this page where you can either use the form, you can send us a video or whatever. We post a new video. Tom and I do. I ask the questions, he answers them, and we post them. Actually, Zach posts them to Facebook and YouTube and, of course, homeshowradio.com, which is where you will find all our Home Show pros cleverly hidden on the homepage. You scroll down, and there they all are. And if you don't know their name, but you know what you need, you click on this Find a Pro button. It'll open up this page where you will find all of them organized by a category. And they're all happy to help you and happy to let you wait a little. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, they're all going to be very busy. Good contractors are going to be busy, and you have to decide if you're willing to wait to have it done right, or you want to have somebody fix it for now and then have somebody come in and fix it right later.
That's it.
Okay.
Just get it fixed. Get it fixed right.
And this weekend, Tom?
This weekend I'll be on the air on Saturday, 9 to noon, and Sunday, 8 to 11 on Sports Radio 610. No doubt about it.
And remember Danny.
Danny's on 7 to 9 before I am, from 9 to 12 on Saturday. No doubt about it. I like Danny.
All right.
I don't want to ignore him.
What's not to like about him? He's our little leprechaun.
He's in competition. No, not at all.
No,
Danny's
not
a
at
buddy.
all. No.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, folks, the thing Tom likes best about Danny? Lets him sleep an extra hour. Because Tom used to come on at 8. Now he comes on at 9. Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm getting up at 4:30 every morning. Go figure. I finally get to sleep and I don't. I get more coffee.
It's a melatonin issue as you're getting older, and we'll talk about that off the air.
It's absolutely what it is. Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's it for this week. We'll see you here again next Thursday. Next Thursday, by the way, is going to be a pre-recorded show, but we have got some surprises coming for you on that. I will be traveling next week, but we will have a show here for you next Thursday at 4 o'clock. It's Ask Tom Live on Facebook and YouTube Live.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who